pray for vision, I pray for wisdom, I pray for weapons against the system. I pray for freedom to free the victims, to heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fun, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real. I pray for y'all. I pray for y'all. It was easy when I hadn't been on TV and I hadn't seen the CG. Yeah, they using every movie, everything ain't always PG. Sometimes it get kinda creepy when you looking out the window. You the one holding the squeegee, who the one that's gonna clean up all of this mess? Big ball in distress. You gon' say his name one day, I wish you all the best. I give y'all a guess, answer every test. All I did was brush, I promise he did all the rest. I pray for vision, I pray for wisdom, I pray for weapons against the system. I pray for freedom to free the victims, to heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fun, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real. I pray for y'all. I pray for y'all.
I pray for good days, I pray for bad days. I ask for blessings, he sent them their way. I pray for dumb things, I'm one of the bad cave. I pray for myself, but I'm not that brave. So I pray for the good days, I pray for the bad days. I pray for my report card, like stay away bad grades. Go away bad vibes, I pray for my classmates. I pray that when they walk in, it won't be their last day. I had to write this knowing I ain't talked to God in a minute. Feeling depressed, trying to live up to this positive image. When in reality, everything develops from the negatives. Lord, give me strength, not to smack all the
I pray for vision, I pray for wisdom, I pray for weapons against the system. I pray for freedom to free the victims, to heal the brain, no pain inflict them. I pray for real, I pray for real. I talk to God, then wait for real. Can't fake the fun, can't fake the feel. I pray for fun, I pray for real. I pray for y'all. I pray for real, I pray. I talk to God. I pray for y'all. I pray for y'all.
Hello and good evening to everyone. This is the show Confessions of a Young Adult, CYA. I'm your main host, Cedric Carter, Minister Cedric Carter, with my co-host, my man
Elijah Peterson. What's up with it, man? What's up?
We are here gathered again with another potential great show ahead of us. Last show we had about 2 weeks ago was a very important, impactful show with a lot of opinions, but opinions based with facts. Before we get started, I want to make sure we get out the golden rule that we have for this show, which is Matthew chapter 7, verses 12. Therefore, unto all things do unto others as you will have them do unto you, for this is the golden rule unto the prophets. Like I said last week, man, we had a very incredible show with some of the things you said, some of the things I said. But before we get into it, man, there was a comment last week that we got to make sure we don't miss out on. I believe it was Bree. She had a comment, and I just want to let you know that we will get into that comment either some point on this show, or it'll be another show that we have where we read that comment and have a conversation about it. But that comment basically was... this goes to the question I always ask: is the ruling of punishment by human or man ethical? Is the justice system ethical? Is what we deem punishment ethical? I ask all of that to say I feel like a lot of times we play God, deciding people's fate and punishment, which is a very great question that we can unpack a lot with that. But we will either get to that at some point in this show, or we will in the next show. And with that, we want to get on with our first topic, with everything that's going on with the social media world and stuff like that. We both are fathers, man, of beautiful boys that we have. I have one, and you have two boys, correct? What is, one thing with our first topic, I want to ask you, what is one thing that you will install in your, children with the way things are going on with the with the police, the judicial system, police reform. You know, just everything seems chaotic right now. What is the one main thing that you want to install into your children, man?
One thing I found very helpful for me is to watch like prejudice movies. I'll sit down and have a sit down with my son, and we'll watch a prejudice movie. Like this today, we were watching a movie on Netflix called Thug, but it's an acronym for The Hate You Give. And I recommend that everybody sits down and watch that movie with their kids. It's basically, about the police brutality and how they can handle it. And it's a young black father who's struggling in a neighborhood, and he had to sell drugs or whatever just to live. And one day he got pulled over, and he always taught his kids that when the police pull you over, put your hands on the dashboard. And it just so happened that his daughter got pulled over, and she made the mistake of, she dropped her phone, was reaching down for it, and as a result, one of her friends got shot and killed. But yeah, y'all just gotta go watch it. It's a good movie. It's a real good movie.
And you said it's called Thug on
yeah,
Netflix?
Thug on Hulu.
On Hulu? Okay, yeah. And that's the acronym for The Hate You Give. Okay, so let me ask you this. Aside of what you just said, is you try to allow your children to see very I can't even think of the word. Goodness gracious. Prejudice movies, which installs just the mental aspect and everything. So how do they seem to respond to such movie and this and that when kids can be into cartoons and all that stuff?
Now my son he's real into it. He likes cops, so I think one day he's gonna grow up to be a cop, which I'm kind of scared of him being one. But I just want him to be informed of the situations that he's gonna be placed in, or let him see it from a cop's point of view, because they also give the cop's point of view on that movie too. That's why I like it. So I also use books. Like there'll be a book that'll have characters that all look the same, and I'll ask him, how does that make him feel that all the characters are white or all the characters are black or whatever the case may be, and I'll ask him how that makes him feel. Or if there's a diverse characters, I ask him which one is he most likely to be a friend with, or which one doesn't he like. And if it's based off of skin color, I'll ask him to give me a detailed reason of why he doesn't like him outside of the skin color.
And what are some of the things that you get back from that?
Most of the time it's like he's mean, or it doesn't have anything to do with the skin color. As long as he has like a specific reason outside of skin color, I'm fine with it. He's judging the person based off their attitude or their personality.
And not the skin color.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, man, I think the biggest thing is to teach for my son. I'm big on respect.
Yeah,
for sure. Regardless of if it's man or woman, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Always saying thank you and this and that. And I want my son to understand the importance of consequence. When you do something that you aren't supposed to be doing or anything like that, there's consequences that come with not doing the right thing or thinking you can get away with something and then you get caught. I think for him, I don't know when the last time I've had to like whoop my son or even, become like extremely frustrated to that point. I mean, of course he's a kid, so he has his moments when he's doing, this and that or whatever. But my biggest thing is just teaching respect, man.
Yeah.
Just because you might be bigger than a kid or whatever, you still got to treat people with respect, and there's consequences for your actions. I feel like in our community, the black community, a lot of parents struggle, especially in our generation. We struggle with teaching our kids consequences. I don't know if that's because of everything that goes on with Child Protective Services, CPS, and stuff like that, or if it's another line of just, I don't know, it really annoys me. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it annoys me when I see parents letting their kids do certain things and they think it's like cute or it's funny or look at, my baby do this and that, and before you realize it, the kid learns a habit.
Yeah, and they don't have that fear. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that habit, I mean, if he's a boy, he's just gonna get older and bigger. Then and then it gets worse when we go through that point where our manhood starts to kick in. We think we're bigger and better than everyone else, and this and that. So my biggest thing is like making sure my son understands respect. That was one thing my father and my mother taught me. No matter what, respect your elders. Respect anyone that's older than you. Now, don't allow anyone to disrespect you, but there's always a right way to handle things. Now, if someone wants to take it outside of that, then that's really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that has to be dealt with at that point, not in a physical manner or anything like that, but just making sure everything lines up in the way that it needs to go and stuff like that. So I'm always big on respect and making sure he understands that there are consequences for everything that happens. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure.
And I think another thing that like we should really focus on, not with just that, but how do you feel like, what do you say with another thing we could talk about right now is with interracial relationships. How do you feel that impacts, you know, the world that we're in today? We see a lot of more interracial relationships, especially from the standpoint from how things used to be.
Yeah.
Where what was the guy's name that got the kid that got killed? I mean, the man that got killed for whistling at a white lady. It was a way, I can't remember. Was it Emmett Till? Was it? It sucks that I don't know my history right off the top of the head right there.
I don't know either.
But
so
supposedly, supposedly, he whistled at a white woman and then he got killed, and it was just a bunch of stuff. But from that point to where we are now, where there's interracial relationships, how do you feel that plays a part in today's society and stuff like that? Regardless if it's white male, black woman, black man, white woman, how do you feel?
As far as like, I feel like it's a good thing right now for us. It's kind of playing in our favor because the older generations, they didn't have that mix of culture. So now the grandparents are looking at black people as their children because they have those interracial relationships. So that's why I think we're seeing most of the white people are now like standing up for black people because there's that mix now and there's the culture.
Yeah.
And they have a better understanding of what we're going through because they have it in their family. So I think it's really playing in our flavor.
How do you feel about parents that are like, you can't date the other race, regardless if it's a black parents telling their kids you can't date a Caucasian, or a Caucasian parent telling their son or daughter you can't date the opposite race? Do you feel like that's a bit of, I wouldn't say necessarily racism. How do you feel about that whole mixture? Because that's a big piece of a puzzle that not a lot of people talk about, man.
Yeah, I definitely think it still exists. I think there's still people out here who just don't agree that the opposite race should date the opposite race, and I think I don't like it. I don't understand the knowledge because you can't help who you fall in love with. You fall in love with people based off common interest, or it could be based off anything. So for you to say that you don't like someone based off their skin color, it just boils down to you're just being a racist because you don't know that person.
That's true. I do agree that we don't have a choice with who we fall in love with because it's one of those things where it happens at the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
You either, I wouldn't say love at first sight, though I believe that can happen, but I think it's one of those things. It can go back to what we talked about at first with the parenting. Our nation, parenting, there are great parents out here, millions of great parents, but there's also millions of horrible parents. Unfortunately, children go through parents that are on drugs, parents that are divorced, and mom and dad hate each other, or, you know, just some unworldly accident happen to the parent where it caused death or anything like that. But with interracial relationships, I feel like it closes the gap when people are allowed to just be themselves. I feel like from where it was back then to where we are now, I feel like people are, they have freedom to be who they want. If I see someone that's not of my color and I like that, that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree with how some black men degrade the black woman, as I call the original queens
Oh yeah.
of this earth. You know what I mean? I don't like when they want to go outside of their race because whatever they feel or whatever degradation they feel, where, you know what I mean, they have to down the black woman. I feel like that's totally unacceptable. You should be embarrassed, number one, and whatever you say about a black woman, you're basically saying about your mom, because if your mom was black, then just, you know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing. I mean, if you fall in love with someone, you fall in love with them, you know what I mean? I don't think God is going to be mad because you know what I mean? Like, you gave me this desire, you know what I mean? I didn't have control of, this is who I'm going to love, and you know what I mean, this and that, because if everybody had it that way, ain't no telling who would marry who, and you know what I mean, and how things would go about. But I feel like it's a good thing. It's horrible parenting if you feel like you can make your child love someone else, only your own race, excuse me, and if they fall in love with someone else that's outside of the race, that's like a bad thing. That's a whole nother topic for another day, but I feel like that's one thing that has helped, especially with a lot of things that's going on, you know, with Martin Luther King, not to go too far back, but once the white people started to, you know, step up and, you know, be a part of the cause, that's when things started changing, and here we are today, years later in 2020, where we see a lot of white people who are willing to stand up for what's right and stand down for, you know what I mean, stand against what's wrong. And I feel like that's important for today's day and time. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done within communities, within the church, within a lot of things. I feel like, just to add on to everything we're talking about, I feel like a lot of people are mentally ill and they don't realize that, because they're used to a norm in which they can't really conceptualize what's outside of their reality. And until people start to deal with their mental illnesses, then I don't really think that we can get anywhere. But I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I really do.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that interracial relationships, I've been watching on YouTube where this has been causing a lot of relationship problems because they feel like their partner is doesn't really feel that real sympathy, but is just feeling sorry out of pity. And I can see where they're coming from, but I want those people who feel that way, to understand that their partner also goes through the same type of racial comments that they go through, because they're judged for crossing that line, for even thinking about dating a black person. Now they got to go through a mess with both the white community and the black community, just like us, but on a harsher level because it's their family, their immediate family. So we have to have that understanding on both sides, that racism is not just for black people, especially if you're dating interracially. You have to have that understanding.
Yeah, I agree. For another thing we could talk about, I feel like, what do we say to our significant others when we are in an interracial relationship? What do we say to our friends who think they are down, they're woke, or, you know, sometimes, do you feel like they can be a part of the problem in a way? And if so, how do you feel like they can be?
Basically, what I just said, if they're not really feeling that sympathy, like they're saying Black Lives Matter, but the moment they're on the street and they see a black man, they're clenching their purse. They're trying to turn and walk the opposite direction. That's not real. You're not really feeling sympathy. You're just talking just to be talking. Those people are a part of the problem.
I think that there's a very thin line we have to be careful with when we come to the point where we have to question someone's authenticity of how do they really feel, and like what makes us believe that they're either lying or they're being truthful for what they're saying. I think the best way for me is all about actions. A lot of people talk. They say they want to do this and that, but are you really willing to get in the mud? Are you really willing to get to the nitty gritty of what's really going on with everything that's going on, regardless if it's the black or the white man? I think that's one thing that we really don't focus on, and it's a very thin line, like I said, of how do we really want to play? Because if if I have the right to tell someone that they aren't really woke or they aren't really down for the cause, they can really come back at me with the same thing, because unless I have hardcore facts, then what makes what I'm saying any more important than what they're doing? Because in a sense, I'm really then being like them. Because if I'm really woke, then I'm really willing to, inspire and educate someone else the information that I know and give them, the right information and the tools to want to learn. And if they do, then this is how we go about it. But I feel like there's a lot of people that's really, I call them peekers. They're always looking over the fence, you know what I mean? And when there's enough people there to where they don't have to be seen as much, then they want to jump over the fence, and then, you know what I mean? And I feel like the woke or, down community, a lot of people are really just peekers. No one is really willing to get in the nitty gritty, and when it comes to the voting and when it comes to just everything that goes on within our world with social media and stuff like that, or we can go into the relationships. There's a lot of peekers, and nobody really wants to be the first to jump over the fence. We in this day and time, I feel like we need a lot more people who are willing to jump over the fence and fight for what's right and fight for change and really, you know what I mean, get to what really needs to be done. Because if you're not, then you might as well just stay in the back. And I feel like until we get to that point to where people can just be real about what they feel and their opinions, then we'll never get anywhere. Because right now it seems like everybody wants to be right, especially in the woke community. No, it has to be this. Like, there's no other way. Because what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? I feel like anytime there's an argument, there's a disagreement. I feel like we can never agree with anything, and until we get to that point, then we can't really get nowhere with everything that's going on. And that's how I feel about the woke or the I'm down community. Do you have any further?
No, I think we've pretty much can't talk right now. We covered that topic.
I think,
there we go.
So just to add on before we go on our break, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And this isn't the spill the beans or anything like that. Just a part of what's going on right now. How do you feel about? Do you wish people would just be authentic to what they are? And what I mean by that is, if you're racist, just say you're racist. If you're not racist, just say you aren't racist. If you don't like this, just say you don't like this. If you don't like that, just say you don't like that. And if one was to come and be authentic and honest, do you feel like that can help us get to a better place when we're able to see not just the enemy or the threat, but, hey, this person has admitted they're racist or whatever? Do you feel like that could potentially help with a lot of things that's going on with interracial relationships, everything that's going on with the police officers, our own president, everything in politics? Do you feel like everything or a lot of things can come to a better common ground if people would just be brutally honest? Because for me, I would rather have it that way. So I want to ask you before I dig into it.
I mean, yeah, I would prefer that people would be honest, but I think it would definitely cause more of a division between us than there already is. I just don't think that putting more labels on the people is not what we need. We have so many labels out there right now, and that's what's causing so many problems. It's just the separation in general. If we can all just look at each other and say we are all one, then the problems stop. So I just don't want to create more barriers. I see what you're saying with the whole honesty. That way we know, like, hey, we need to stay away from this person, or hey, let's not support this person and buy their products. But I just don't like. I don't know. It's tough.
I see where you're coming from. So when I say that, I don't necessarily mean like, know your threat, know who it is, and then deal with it the way it needs to be done. Now, when I say if a white person or even a black person or Hispanic person, Asian, Chinese, whatever, was to admit that they're racist towards a certain, a certain particular people, I don't mean that as in, okay, we go belittle this person or anything like that. What I mean is, if someone was to admit that, hey, I'm racist, and they were able to give us the honest reason why they don't like black people, or what, or black people don't like white people or whatever, I feel like that at least allows us a better form of communication, and it allows us an extra layer of education, because you won't know what you're dealing with until you know exactly what it is. I could sit here and, though I don't, be like, Eli, like, I really don't like you, bro. Like, but I'm able to give you the reasons why, and then you're able to come back and then we can have an honest conversation. I feel like people aren't willing to have an honest conversation. I would love to, in a weird way, I would love to sit down with a racist, because I would want to, like, pick their brain, like,
oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Because I want to know what triggers in your brain that, like, it's okay to, like, not like me, when I can be the same person that can save your life with either my type of heart, the type of blood I have, or anything like that. What, you know what I mean? What I want to know, what is the mental side of you not liking me, or is it just something you were taught, then it became a habit, and then the habit just kept going over and over and over again, then it's like a reoccurring occurrence, you know what I mean? I think that's one thing that I feel like that could help us. Just acknowledging what's really going on, and I feel like a lot of people are living lies. Then within that, living a lie, then it's like they have to keep the story going. Yeah. And then sooner or later, something real enough hits, and then then their true character comes out. Like, and I feel like that goes into a lot of ways. And if you disagree, I respect that.
No, I agree with the brutally honest one. I just don't, like I said, just the barriers and the separation is the problem. But at the same time, it's definitely best to know what you're dealing with than to have to figure it out later and get hurt without knowing why.
Do you think it's possible to do that without creating labels or anything like that?
Right now, no.
And why is that?
I just don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready for that.
Well, when will we be?
Never. Never. If every white man stood up right now, and every black man, every Mexican, Latino, whatever, and just said that they were racist, man, crime would just go skyrocket.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Why, though? I want to know why now.
Because we are, for one, black people already riled up behind the George Floyd, so let one of these police officers say they racist. Black people going straight for the head.
But what if he's willing to educate himself and become?
He got to be able. He got to have the opportunity to say that before we there.
So you feel
we might be already at his doorstep before he even say something.
So you feel like if one was to do such, that he wouldn't be given the proper time and stuff, like opportunity to be able to explain himself and this and that, you feel like people just be like, forget him, we'll just go ahead and kill him or whatever and get him out the way? You feel like people would be like that?
For the most part, yeah.
Oh, man.
Right now, yeah.
Then what we fighting for? if change ain't gonna, no, I'm being for real. If change can never come with anything that's going on, then what are we even fighting for? You know what I mean? Because
that's true. That's true.
Because if we're never gonna be willing to just be brutally honest, then what are we fighting for?
So you're saying that we should accept that they are racist, or you're saying that we should have a conversation with them and try to change their mind, or just accept it and leave
It's
them
not
alone.
about trying to change their mind. It's if I feed you information and you just refuse to, whatever, then okay, then that's on you.
That's- yeah,
But I've
okay,
done my
okay.
proper due diligence in trying to educate you.
I can get with
and this
that.
and that. Then you know what I mean. And then, you know, information and knowledge really can change the way someone thinks, and it can change their heart. Especially when it's coming from a genuine side of things. Just like, and it goes to the same with relationships. If you meet someone, but they're brutally honest with you and be like, yo, I'm just a cheater. I'm going to be honest. Like, I like you and I really rock with you, but I like to go, you know what I'm saying, outside and do this and that. Now you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's up to you
If
to
you wanna stick
decide
around or
if
you wanna
you
move
see
on,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Instead of it being you meet this person and then, you know, they give you like a lie, basically, with what I was saying. They give you a lie, and then later on you find out, dang, this person a cheater, this person a liar, and this and that. Then you really stuck in a second, you know what I'm saying, in a sticky situation.
Yeah.
But I'll let you take it and lead us into our break before we go into our next topic.
Oh yeah, all right. We're finna go into our next break. Please leave any comments if you had anything that you liked that we've talked about thus far, and we'll get back into our next topic after this break.
In the ground we bury the seeds of a pantry, all the things we carry. Now we're down to our bare feet. May I have this dance to you? Can I say something crazy? I love you. Give me both your hands to you. Let me stand inside you. You're bound to inherit the sins of our parents and all the people we passed through. Now we're down to the last two. May I have this dance to you? Can I say something crazy? I love you. Give me both your hands to you. Let me stand inside you. You've got your mother's eyes. You've got your grandmother's ring. You've got your daddy's discernment. Girl, you did your thing. Oh, give me one more. 1, 2, 1, 2, always on beat. You must have been born with 2 right feet. I know you've been looking for something concrete. You must have been born with 2 right feet. Said 1, 2, 1, 2, always on beat. I know you've been looking for something concrete. You must have been born with 2 right feet. You must have been born with 2 right feet. Said, I love you more than your mother, more than you love yourself. May I have this dance? Can I say something crazy? I love you. Give me one more chance, give me one more chance, give me one more. Let me stand inside you.
All right, and welcome back to Confessions of Hawaii. We're going to go ahead and jump right into our second topic of today. And the question is, we're going to talk about the lockdown reorder. How do we feel about the lockdown reorder? And are we really social distancing right now anyways? And for me, a real question is, do we even need to have a real lockdown reorder? Like to shut everything down completely? I know right now they're at 50 capacity.
Yeah, that's really a tough one because people are used to a certain stigma. They have a routine from when they wake up, this and that. A lot of people are canceling vacations, especially with it being summertime. A lot of people are having to change a lot of things, you know what I mean? So I feel like when it's almost like a cannon inside of a rocket. I feel like a lot of people are just ready to just shoot out, you know what I mean? Regardless of what's going on. And that's the very unfortunate and unsafe aspect of it. Have we really been social distancing? No. Because, oh man, I really don't even know how to like conceptualize.
Yeah, with the whole riots and everything.
Yeah,
when they first
like,
started, no one was wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they saw like the numbers,
well, there were a few people,
but
the majority.
well, I feel like
wearing
if you
masks.
shoulder to shoulder next to people, there's no way a mask is gonna save you.
For
No
sure.
way.
For sure. I agree with that. I think I would have to talk to. So we had a meeting at our job. I can bring this into it. We had a meeting at our job, and basically the head security guy, which he's ex-military and stuff like that, he was basically saying that we're gonna live with this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be actually forever. We don't know until they either come out with a vaccine, if people are even going to take the vaccine. And he was telling us about, like, there's only so much we can do when it comes to the social distancing, especially when you have kids at home. You have husband and wife, and then you have those who are still having to go to work.
Yeah.
So how do you, like, we can wash our hands properly, we can do all those precautions, but like once you get home, there's no, especially when you have kids, they don't know what's really going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are aware, but they can't be like, no, I can't be this close to dad. I mean, some kids are able to grasp that. I don't want to make it seem like all kids are the same, but some kids are able to grasp that. But it's the social distancing thing is tough, man. Like I feel like with Greg Abbott, having this put in the lockdown, reorder back in place, like when it comes to like gatherings at restaurants or people having a little shindig or whatever at their house, like there's really no difference. I feel like someone is looking for someone to blame. Greg Abbott don't want to take responsibility for what he has caused, but it don't surprise me because
I feel completely opposite because just because he opened up Texas for say, opened up the restaurants, I don't think he meant for everyone to just stop the 6 feet social distancing. I just think we took it as, okay, it's safe
Back
to go
to
out,
normalcy, yeah.
back to normal. No, I don't think that's the way he meant it. He just wanted us to slowly get back, but we rushed back. We ran back.
But that's what I was saying. Like we're like a cannon and a rocket.
Yeah.
Once he basically pressed that button and boom, we went shooting. And whether cannon lands, then it lands. It's unfortunate because it's the side where people are getting sick, people are dying, especially the ones that they say have prior history with health conditions and stuff like that. Then you have the older generation or whatever that COVID can really severely have an impact on. So it's like either make everyone sit at home, or the unfortunate thing is like, you know what I mean? Like you just gotta let things be what they are. If people are gonna die from it anyways, then how much can we? You know what I mean? Because I know people who have just been at home and maybe just went to the store or whatever
And have gotten it,
haven't been in no gatherings, haven't done none of that. But you know what I mean? Like it's a slippery slope with the social distancing. I feel like the political side wants to blame the restaurants. Now you got the restaurant committee or organization and stuff like that wanting to sue, the governors and stuff like that because they feel like they're getting the harsh blame when they just did what you said. And You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're trying to blame restaurants and this and that for not social distancing correctly and stuff like that. So that's a slippery slope. Because if you want to be like 100% honest, you're not 6 feet away from me right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
So yeah, I would say it's kind of 50-50 because it is the restaurant.
We don't have on a mask.
Yeah, it's the restaurant's job to make sure that we're seated, arranged that we are 6 feet apart. But at the same time, if they're not, and you see that that's not happening, why would you still sit there? So the blame goes on both sides. They got to do their job, and we got to have common sense, not to sit.
But
next
a
to
lot of
somebody.
people, I feel like you said, it's 50-50. I feel like a lot of people have had common sense. Then there's people that just
just
want to
don't
live
care.
life.
Yeah.
You know, like life is short. We might as well YOLO it. You
Yeah.
only live once, type of thing. You know what I mean? But it's a slippery slope. And then you have the medical side where doctors are saying this and that, and every doctor wants to be right. They want their formula, their information, their studies to be the right. Then we have another doctor like, no, our studies say different or whatever. You know what I mean? So I feel, I don't know, if it's gonna be here forever, then at some point, like, so you're gonna shut down. Are we gonna be in lockdown forever? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 'cause school.
Or is it
school
when?
right around the corner?
Yes, when school comes up, then like you got multiple kids in one classroom. That's one teacher having to deal with
Yeah.
like 20 or however many students in one classroom. So that you want them to teach, and then you want them to make sure kids are socially distancing themselves. When kids just want to be kids, they want to
Yeah.
learn and go to school, have fun, see their friend Brittany, Johnny, Eric, and you know what I mean, or whatever, and just be a kid. I feel like that's when things are really going to get tricky. Once
Yeah,
they
because
start
there's
to
right now there's a lot of teachers out there who are saying that they do not want to go to school next year because a lot of them have like respiratory and immune problems, so they don't even want to step into a school next year. And the parents are like, "Oh no, the kids ain't staying home
stay home
for
long
another
enough.
year."
They didn't drove us crazy.
So that's just gonna be like a whole nother debate. So I just hope that we can just figure this out and get it past us, so we can go back to school next year. I know you don't. I know you don't want your son home.
Nah,
Another school
well,
year.
I don't mind. I'm an introvert, so I don't mind like being at home in the
Yeah.
comfort of my house, and then I have my son. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a few friends come over or whatever. But I don't know. Some people they really like to enjoy life, and that just doesn't mean they like to go and party and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's hard to. It's millions of people you have to contain right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't going to be able to just be contained, because being in the house can drive someone crazy, especially when they aren't used to being in the house, and then you got their kids who they ain't used to being in the house with all day going crazy. I really want to know the numbers of how many whoopings are going out every single day.
Man.
Well, them belts is getting they just due, ain't they? But I think it's a slippery slope, because I don't know, man. It's that's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't mind like teaching my kids at home or doing homeschool or whatever. I just feel like we're robbing them of that school experience that they need.
And the
especially with
interaction
this
other
whole
kids.
racism. Yeah, with all this whole racism, they're not able to interact with other kids or be diverse because they're just in the house all day. So I don't really want to rob them of that opportunity to meet other kids. That's just why I hope we get past this.
So we have a comment that just came in from Maxie Taylor that says, numbers are rising as we speak.
I was looking at the numbers on KERA today. In Dallas, we had 601 cases.
Just today?
Today, 601, and already 20 deaths, man.
Just today?
Just today.
So so they got the result. Don't it take like 2 weeks though to get the results back? Or
you gotta ask KERA.
Maxie, since you're watching the show,
it says June 30th.
Does it take? It takes 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, to get your. Not 2 weeks.
So this might be. So what they might be talking about. This might be the cases from the riots from 2 weeks ago. So today they got those results from the riots, 601. You might be right.
I would need to know how long does it take for testing to get back, and help us, Lord, with this. Tell me about it. I don't care if you're the most holiest. If your kid is driving you crazy, whatever you got to do to hush them up. Well, I know for a fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be real, man. I ain't had to whip my son in a minute.
I haven't either. I've
but
never
man,
whipped my son ever.
Sometimes though, I do just.
I will
now
pull
I
out
can
the man
just,
voice
yeah,
on him,
like,
though. Yeah, for sure.
You gotta look him in the eyes with that death stare, like, all right, don't mess with me no more. Like, you hear what I'm saying? But as far as, you know what I mean? Amber says some places it takes 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
So with 3 to 4, that's what I'm saying. Like, how many of those people were out in gatherings and not being safe and this and that? I feel like that's when it gets tricky, and then like. Not just tricky, but then you really got to get down to like the true numbers. Were you out? Who were you around? And this and that. Then who were they around? Then
That's hard to
you
track,
know what I mean?
man.
I feel like
That's
the tracking
real hard to track.
is what's the most difficult with the social distancing thing, because next week my son is going to be going back to daycare. Though his daycare is taking extreme precautions and making sure they have sanitizing everywhere and stuff like that. Like how, I don't know how to feel about that, man, because he does miss school. He always talks about his friends that he missed and this and that, but you know what I mean? Like, are those kids' parents, you know, doing the right things and this and that, so to where their kids aren't coming back? But I believe they do temperature checks at the door for every kid, and if you even have the slightest fever, you have to go home or whatever. But I feel like that's a thing that is it's a slippery slope, man, because everybody just can't sit in the house forever. Could you imagine a family that really like wanted a lot of kids, that have a lot of kids, and now they in the house right now with a bunch of kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they love their kids, but them kids getting on their everlasting nerve.
We have a comment from Maxie. She says they also report everything under COVID. You could die in a car wreck, but if you are positive for COVID, they report it as a COVID death. I've heard that a lot of false COVID positive deaths or
you
whatever.
You want to know something I learned? I learned for every this is some crazy stuff. I hope I have my numbers correct, but for every patient they say that has COVID, the hospital is giving 30 to 45,000 per report. Like,
wow.
So if me and you have it, that's almost $100,000 just at the max. What, 45 and 45, what's that? Almost $100,000. So that's really I don't know, it's a tough thing, but you know, we're going to get into our next topic, and this is where I want people really to dig into our conversation. So right now we have the spill the beans, and
let's spill it.
So
You going first? I always go first. You
don't put me out like
on
that.
the spill the beans, man.
Spill the beans. The beans I have to spill this week. Let's see. I've noticed about myself that how can I say this the right way? I become annoyed quickly with people who are selfish. And people who know they are selfish and don't want to change their selfish ways.
Elaborate. What you mean by selfish? Like selfish with what?
Just anything. Like if I'm willing to show that I'm willing to help you, but then the same instance comes back, like selfishness is one thing that'll really like grind my gears. Because I'm such like a helpful person. I have a big heart, so I'm willing and I love helping people. But then like I'm learning to not like judge someone else for not being the way that I am. You know what I mean? Like everyone has the right to respond or do whatever it is they want to do in whatever situation, but I'm learning like that's one thing that Like, you want to annoy me or make me mad, like a selfish person can get that out of me, like, and I'm asking God, Lord, take that chip away from me, you know what I mean? Because, and it takes a lot for me to get mad or like extremely annoyed, but I've noticed that's one thing that really, like, you show me a salt of like that you selfish, man. I swear I'll go off in that text or however we talking at the moment, like, I really like, that's one, I don't like that. I wish I could be better with that. It's like, I don't know. I'm a very calm spirited person, and like I said, it takes a lot for me to get mad. But I would say that's one thing that I'm really having to work on is being able to accept that someone else isn't like me, and I can't make someone have a big heart. I can't make someone be helpful. I can't make someone do, you know what I mean? Something that I would do just because they don't do it doesn't mean I'm better than them or they're less than me or they're better than me and I'm less than them. I think I'm having to learn to just accept that people are who they are, in a good or a bad way, and I just have to accept that. You know what I mean? And I'll let you spill the beans, and then
before I spill my beans, I actually got some advice for you. She said the thing is you can't expect others to treat you the way you would treat them. We all have different experiences that lead us to where we are.
I agree 1,000, and that's the thing. Like, and you can see the passion that I have with this. Like, I really understand that. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, but why can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm willing to go the extra mile, like, just go the extra mile with me. And I think that's the biggest thing that really, like, you can see the passion coming out with this now. Like, I understand all that. I get it. But it's one thing to say you're willing or you can do something, but then when an opportunity presents itself, you don't do it. And I feel like I become not just let down, but like the hope you have for said person or whatever. And this is no isolated incident that I'm currently going through. It's just people in general. Like, I've noticed, like, that's one thing that really like grinds me, bro. Like, man, I get mad at my own self because I understand it and I get it, but I'm just like, I don't care about that right now. Like, you need to understand, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe I'm at fault for trying to make someone understand something that I say I understand, or maybe truly I don't understand what's, you know what I'm saying, what I'm really mentally going through or whatever when it comes to said situations. But it's one of those things that's like, that's one thing that like grinds my gears. Like, man, and I don't care where we at, man. Like,
you killing me, man.
Like, I remember, I'll tell you a short story.
You know what really grinds my gears?
I'll tell you a short story before I let you go into yours, man. We were at the
all right, bet. I am a situational racist. Like, let me explain. Like Indians, I hate them in customer service. Stop hiring straight Indians for customer service. If I answer the phone, the first thing I hear is, "Hello, thank you for calling Metro PCS." I'm hanging up. So
boy,
hire somebody else, man.
Let me close this bubble right now. Do you hear me?
Man, cue the music, man. Cue the music.
I can fair with you with that.
Exactly.
But
I'm speaking facts.
I didn't know it was situational racism.
It depends on the situation.
But you can't say it's situationally like racist. I feel like that's more of like just your preference. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's just a situation.
Okay. So you're saying that
because I'm judging the phone call based off the personality of the person. Well, not their personality, but their ethnicity of the person. You know what I'm saying? Because an Indian answered the phone, I know it's collect call. I'm basing an assumption. You know, it's kind of a situational racist.
Situational racist? I haven't heard that one. Well, no, I can. I don't know, bro. That you caught me off guard with that one.
Y'all know my spill the beans is always extreme.
Yeah, that's
man.
racial. That's racial prejudice. How you gonna sit on this couch and we gonna sit here and talk about, you know? But I can't. You know what? I can't even say that because I just asked you for the truth. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
I'm giving you the
You
truth.
just gave me the truth that you situationally racist, and you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't feel like that's racist though.
I love Indians. I just hate them in customer
that's
service. It
That's
depends
not
on the
racist,
situation.
though. That's more like that's kind of like discrimination. I don't think that's racist.
Okay, yeah, that's a better
I feel
word.
like that's
Discrimination. There you go.
I
There
feel
you
like, yeah. Well, okay, so Maxie agrees that that racism is not the same as discrimination. I feel like that's more discrimination or preference than just like situational, like race. Like when you say that, like
I was
that,
spilling the
that's a
beans, man. I was spilling the
no,
beans.
that's you ain't spilled it. You threw them beans. You ain't just spilling them. But that's when you put the word racist with something, that's like, cause you
like
you don't have a
extreme
hate
label, yeah.
towards. That's just like you know what I mean. You kind of like it's just like you misspoke. You know what I mean? That's not racism in no way. Like that's a whole like that's just discrimination. Like I don't know. Like
Oh man.
so we have another comment. I like football, but not the Vikings. That's like discrimination, and is that discrimination? That's more like preference. I wouldn't say that's. Yeah, but the situational racism. No, I can understand because I don't want to call someone, then I get someone in a whole other country. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with what I got going on, and now I got to fight with is your phone working or I'm breaking up over here and this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why can't I talk to someone that's in the United States of America? And that's the thing. I can't even say that because they be in America and be in these call centers. You know what I'm saying? And it's full of. Dang, I almost just said something. It's full of Indians or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the tough.
So maybe that company is racist. Why y'all only hiring Indians? That's the real question.
Well, yeah, but you can't say that and then black people be like,
Nah,
we
where the
need
black
to have
people?
our
I ain't
own-
never heard them. Where they at? Y'all making them in the back?
shit, I don't know, but situational racism. Man, I had never heard that one before. I say, where's the bag at? Since we're gonna be honest, I struggle with how honest can I be? I struggle with like beauty. Like when something catches my eye, as a 27-year-old that's trying to live right, I struggle with the like, I guess as we call it, eye candy. You know what I mean? I really struggle with that. And that's something that I'm really, really, really working on. Like, man, I ask God for as much, and part of it goes to because I'm such a nice guy. I'm easy to talk to. I'm very respectful and this and that. So I feel like I really struggle with like the eye and then the thought. You know what I mean? Like you see a beautiful woman or whatever, then it's simultaneously like the lion comes out. You know what I mean? The hunter comes out in you, and I don't mean that in like in that way, but you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where like. I really like ask God to, but I don't know if I ask God for deliverance to not go any further, you know what I mean, from where my thoughts take me, and this and that, or I don't know if it's coming from a place of, because I want a family and I want this and that, and I'm just like, you know what I'm saying?
You feel like
looking for.
Yeah, you feel like you're getting older. You're running out of time.
No, I don't. Time is irrelevant, and I feel like I just got that because my son be watching that Spider-Verse movie, and you know that part. I feel like that just subconsciously came, but I think because we don't know what time it really is or what's really going on, but I feel like because I want those things so passionately, I think if I see something I like, I'm gonna want it. Just like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that doesn't just mean in a mental or a sexual or any type of thing like that. I think it's like I'm an energy type of person, and if someone looks me in my eyes and, you know, that connection hits, like, to me, that's just like the ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding. Like,
yeah, for
come
sure.
talk to
For
me
sure.
or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then we see where it goes from there or whatever. But that's one thing I really, like, I'm working on. And I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing. Now, if I was using that for my own good, or, you know, things that are quote unquote ungodly, or, you know, stuff like that, then that would definitely be an issue. But, like, man, I just love beautiful women, bro.
Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing
God
wrong
made
with
this
that at
woman
all.
to my preference, and I so happened to run into this angel this day, and hopefully she likes me, and we'll see where it goes from there. You know what I mean, type of thing. But but I don't know. That's one thing I'm working on, is to not have the desire to go after everything I see that I like.
All right, we're going to go ahead. Hold on. Before we wrap up the show, I'm going to read this last comment from Maxie Taylor. God gives you desires of your heart. Pray for a beautiful wife. You can build a family. Focus on God bringing you a saved prayer partner, even LOL. I hope I read that right.
Yeah, but I agree 1,000%. But I'm a complicated person sometimes, man. I have a lot of desires that I don't know where it came from, why I think the way I think sometimes, or, you know, or certain situations. But I agree in totality with that. I'm praying hard. I know my time will come. Hopefully she understands and accepts I have a kid and all that. But at the end of the day, we had another great show on CYA Confessions of a Young Adult. I'm your main host, Minister Cedric Carter, and then I have my co-host, my man
Elijah Peters.
We'll be back here in a few with another great show, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and hopefully we can keep the content up, and hopefully y'all all are enjoying our honesty and our perspectives and stuff like that.
Oh, and before y'all go, remember that show is called The Hate You Give on Hulu.
On Hulu. Y'all have a blessed and great day. Peace and love. FFLMP, baby. Yeah.